Hello, hello, hello. It's your girl, Rachel, the Overcomer Branch. How are you guys doing this evening? Well, it is week four. It is week four of the 90-day fast, and I am here to see how you're doing. How are you doing? How are you doing on your 90-day fast? And don't forget to like and subscribe and comment on how you are doing on your 90-day financial fast. So, as I have told you before, week over week, I have committed to fasting for the first 90 days of 2026 from going out to eat. And so far, I have made it. I have not spent any money going out to eat. And I tell you, it's been rewarding. I am definitely seeing the benefit of not going out to eat, of not spending that money. Um, what did you decide that you're fasting from the first 90 days of this year? Comment below, let me know. And let's go ahead and get started with the tip of the week, the financial tip of the week. So this week, the topic is going to be your emergency fund. It is not optional. I'll say it again. Your emergency fund is not optional. So, again, we know what the emergency fund is. We've talked about that on some of the previous sessions. But just a quick recap, emergency fund is just that, it's used only for emergencies. Only for emergencies. So, the first tip I want to talk to you about is just building a starter fund. Okay, so you can begin building that starter fund at $500. Let that be your first goal, just to build up $500 in your bank account or in your savings account. And that, of course, will be used to cover like minor emergencies. And it also having that emergency fund will help you to keep your credit card, keep you from using your credit cards, keep you from you know, having any types of loans. We want to stay away from those things and actually use our emergency funds for those emergencies. And of course, having that emergency fund will also help us to keep from spending money when unexpected bills or unexpected emergency or expenses happen. We'll have that emergency fund in place and ready to go to be able to pull from that fund. Okay, so that's good to have. Having that emergency fund helps to protect us against setbacks. So life is going to happen. We know that life will happen, but we have to plan for that. So we want to make sure that we have a um, savings plan for those minor setbacks. So that way, those minor setbacks don't become major emergencies. So having your emergency plan in place, your emergency savings in place will help us to not make those small emergencies into large emergencies. And of course, we want to always know that having that emergency fund is for a temporary. It's for temporary things that occur, so that those temporary emergencies don't become permanent, right? So we want to have those savings in place so that we are able to have those emergencies, have the money already set and in place so that we can take care of it quickly, efficiently, and also not pull from any of our other funds that we like credit cards or taking out any loans. So having that emergency fund also protects us against setbacks. And then of course it prevents us from using or accumulating more debt. When we have that savings fund, that emergency savings fund in place, then we're not using credit cards for those emergencies. Um, we're not borrowing, and when we're not borrowing, we don't have to pay it back. When we're not borrowing, we're not paying additional interest, such as we would on a credit card. So, having that savings in place is important to help us to stay on our financial journey, right? So, we have our plan, we have our budget, we have an emergency fund set inside of that budget, but we want to make sure that we are. Utilizing it to the best of its ability and not accumulating more debt because we don't have that savings plan. And it actually helps to to improve your credit score. So again, because you're not borrowing, because you're not adding additional debt or additional bills or additional loans, you know that the more debt that you have in your name, that can potentially lower your credit score. So we want to have low debt ratio. So having that savings or emergency plan funds in place even actually helps with your credit score. So it really truly is a win-win. And I started to started the emergency fund at $500 versus anything higher. So we know the ultimate goal is to have between 3 to 6 months in our savings account, right? But let's start small. We want to have goals that are attainable. Want to have goals that are measurable, that are quick, that we can quickly accumulate that or quickly attain that particular goal, so that it is it just keeps you motivated. It keeps you motivated. It keeps you encouraged that you know that right now my first goal is 500 and you're set for that. And then once you reach that 500, then you can set another goal, such the next goal to 1,000, and continue on from there. But we want to make sure that we set reasonable goals that we can attain firsthand, and then we will continue to build upon that. Okay, I think that's it for that. And so then we want to talk about this is for, so all of that was for our beginner budgeter. And this is more for our experienced budgeter right now. And for that experienced budgeter, we want to make sure that we have that emergency fund. We will want it to put it in a separate account. All right, you're established, so you know how to budget. We want to have that emergency fund in a separate account just for emergencies. Again, we're not mixing it with anything else. Um, so it's not a vacation fund. It's not, any other fund, but we're using it strictly for emergencies. And when we do that, we are really, truly creating discipline. We want to have discipline. We want to have boundaries. We want to have clear expectations and plans of where our money is going. So having a separate account just for emergency funds makes it clear, and it makes it less likely to dip into it. So also having it in a separate account is even more beneficial, right? It's not readily accessible for you. And sometimes when you're saving and you see that dollar amount and you see it over and over again, you may get tempted to actually use it, right? But we want to make sure that we truly keep our emergency fund for our emergencies only. Um, and it's also good if you can even do this, have it in a high yield savings account. So it can, high yield savings account somewhere between 3.4 or 4%, maybe a little bit higher. If you know you're not going to be using that emergency fund, um, or we know that we're not trying not to, but it doesn't hurt to have that in a high yield savings account if it can be, so that way it can still be accumulating money on top of the money as well. And I already talked about having it in a separate account. And one other tip to keep you from using it, not to have a debit card attached to that account. So it's that way you're not tempted again to use that debit card for anything else. So. And I already talked to you about is emergency fund is for emergencies only. I thought this was a cute. If you can delay it, then it's not an emergency. That's a good way to determine whether or not that's an emergency. Truly, if the thing that you're wanting to purchase or spend the money on is an emergency. If you can delay that thing, then no, it's not an emergency. Okay. And then we also want to talk about replenishing. So, like I said, life will happen. So, we will have to use that emergency fund or a portion of it at some point in our lives. Do not feel guilty for having to do that. That's what the fund is there for, right? So, we're going to utilize that emergency fund when we need it for those emergencies, and don't feel guilty about it. The next thing to do after that is to make sure that you rebuild it. So, whatever amount that you had in there, You make sure that you have a plan in your budget to go ahead and rebuild that emergency fund right quickly as possible. So that may mean that you have to change some of your spending. You may have to reduce some of your fund money, right? Some of or may not go out to eat as much, or something to that effect. But you want to make sure that you replenish that as quickly as possible. And again, that is building discipline, which is what we want. And then we also, if we have any type of other income that we have that we will generate, we'll go ahead and allocate that towards rebuilding that emergency fund. Okay. So those are the quick tips for the day. And I thought it was a cute quote that I saw. Preparation today prevents panic tomorrow. I'll say that again. Preparation today prevents panic tomorrow. So having your emergency fund is important. And we are doing that because we want to prevent panic at any point in our lives because we have a plan already set. And I just want to have a call to action to you. So if you do not have an emergency fund, um, and you don't have it in a separate account, between now and next Wednesday, when I do this segment again, my call to action to you is to go ahead and set up a separate account for just your emergency funds. Okay. So that's your call to action. And again, my name is Rachel Branch. I am your budget and finance guru. Please comment below um, on this broadcast. Tell me what you like. Tell me what anything else that you want to hear or see, some ideas. Or otherwise, I will continue with where I am. I am open to suggestions. Also, um, I have a budgeting course. It's a financial freedom course that is available and it is on my YouTube page. And you can click on that. It is very good information in there. A lot of information. I posted on my social media accounts, Facebook and TikTok, but very good information for you. There's saving strategies, there's debt elimination strategies, even some tips on how to pay off your house quicker, money mindset. So all of this is about mindset and discipline. So I have some good tips on money mindset and some financial affirmations and other financial tips in that course. So it is also available on my YouTube website. Just look for the link. And I also have created a budget planner, a freedom planner is what I call it. And that freedom planner is also available to you as well to go ahead and jumpstart your financial budgeting so that you can write down your plan, write the vision, make it plain. So you want a vision for your finances so you can purchase that financial planner as well. And I am a finance analyst. I've been that for 21 plus years. So you can go to my website at www.budgetbreakers.com, and breakers is spelled Brakers. And if you're wanting that one on one, I am here for you. And just go to that website and I will help you with your finances, give you a personal one on one detailed you plan just for you. So, again, my name is Rachel Branch, your budget and finance guru. Have a wonderful day. God bless.